Morning and welcome to another fresh edition on your favorite television, Inside Leadership Television. The program is Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Weber, your host on the program. On today's show, we are looking at what the papers are saying in the first half of the program. Of course, it's a developing story on yesterday's story, the strike of NUPENG, that is National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers. The strike continues as there was a stalemate yesterday, even with intervention of presidency. So the papers we have on our lineup today also has similar story like that of leadership, Nigeria's most influential. We'll go to leadership and see what leadership is saying. However, we have leadership's analyst, the group business editor of Leadership newspaper, Inse Anthony Uko, to throw more light on the story, developing story actually. But before she does that, let's quickly take a look at leadership's leading story. Strike. Oil Workers Union, Dangote Group's Abuja meeting ends in a deadlock. Strike. Oil Workers Union, Dangote Group's Abuja meeting ends in a deadlock. And the riders were unable to reach agreement, says Labour Minister, why talks collapsed NLC. Leading story on leadership. However, before we move further, let's see the other leading stories on other papers. Like I said earlier, is the same leading story. Starting with Daily Sun. Daily Sun says, few Dangote Nupeng Ipman fight escalates. Few Dangote Nupeng Ipman fight escalates. Pengasan, Nogasa, Petroan, NATO threaten to join action. Moving away from Daily Sun, we go over to Nigerian Tribune. It says, proposed 5% tax on petroleum products. TUC threatens strike, describes policy as economic wickedness. We move ahead again to this day. This day says, NUPENG strike. Federal government's peace meeting with Dangote. Oil workers ends in deadlock, just like leadership. Inse, good morning and welcome to Inside Nigeria. Hello, Inse. Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yes, good to have you back on today's show. Like I said earlier, it's a developing story. What happened? How come the federal government, through the labor minister, couldn't intervene to broker peace between Nupeng and Dangote Group yesterday in Abuja?
Like we are seeing from all the many of the papers, the discussions, like we were saying, that both of them have to reach an agreement that they consider beneficial for them, to them, and it means that they have not reached an agreement. So both parties are still adamant on their stance. The Nupeng, as they are clamoring for the truck drivers for Dangote joining their association. By the time they have that, it means that whatever they will be able to call the shots of what happens with the Dangote drivers, because they will be guided by their union. But where they are outside the union, it means that Dangote and his truck drivers can operate independent of the union and impose their own stipulations, requirements, as the case may be. And so discussions will continue today, like they have said, as yesterday's couldn't reach any amicable um,
All right.
conclusion.
Okay, Inse, I want to find out outside there for Dangote Group to cave in and allow their drivers, tanker drivers, that is CNG drivers, to join the union. Is there any other way out of this quagmire?
There should be. The issue here would require that of compromise. It will require them reaching a compromise. Um, Dangote would have to concede to some points and get them to agree to what extent they can allow, how far they can allow them to go. And on the other hand, the union themselves will also have to, they have to find a way of meeting themselves in a middle ground. So I don't know if their law permits them to force every employer of labor within the sector to unionize everyone that works within that sector. So it all lies within the purview of the enabling laws in both cases. Now both the labor laws and the laws governing the operations of Dangote refinery, as the case may be. So we cannot really say to what extent they will be able to force the hand of Dangote, but one thing that is certain is that both of them would have to meet at a central point, and there will be compromises here and there for them to continue to work.
So much, Inse, for your time today on this first half of the program, talking about the lead story on leadership today, as well as other papers we have on our lineup. It's a developing story. Inse, thank you so much for your time. And of course, we look forward to having you same time tomorrow for your assessment of the developing story, because the story continues. They are still going to meet today. Thank you so much. We move over to newspaper review, back to leadership. Newspaper, let's see what leadership has on its cover aside that leading story. Well, before we go back to leadership, let's see Vanguard. Vanguard has different story today entirely on its cover, and of course, it's talking politics. It says 2027, Jonathan's camp, PDP top shots win Peter Obi, ex-president Oli Sultana that can beat Tinubu. Right out to that leading story on today's Vanguard. 2027, Jonathan's camp, PDP top shots win Peter Obi. And of course, we also have the picture of Atiku as he visited Tambua yesterday. Violations, Kayamo directs NCAA to start public shaming of airlines. Kwara APC chairman's wife, daughter kidnapped. Federal government to Dangote Nupeng, we shouldn't toy with oil sector. The same leading story, like I mentioned earlier, that is gracing all the papers we have on our lineup this Tuesday. Pengasan, Petro and others issue strike threat. And in sports, 2026 World Cup qualifier, Chel orders Lukman Arokodare Simon to shoot down Bafana. Of course, it's a match every Nigerian is keen to watch. Moving away from Vanguard newspaper, we also move to the Punch newspaper. The leading story on today's Punch says 2027 North rallies voters as SARTOP's pre-registration list. It's a story that we are going to be discussing in the second half of this program with my Tuesday guest in the studio. Of course, the public affairs analyst, Benedict Aguloye. 2027 North rallies voters as SARTOP's pre-registration list. Osun, Lagos, Ogun lead as online pre-registration hits 3.5 million. 288,614 complete physical exercises. Northern governors parties groups unveil campaigns to close widening regional voters gap. Of course, like we also mentioned earlier in this studio, is a story that has also been generating controversy all across the country, with the opposition parties and other politicians calling for forensic examination of those registration, and they are querying why the South should have that high number of voters registrants. Still on the cover of the Punch, OPS rejects 5% fuel surcharge, TUC threatens strike. Cardinal violence, El-Rufai DC leaders shun police invitation. Seized allocations, court hears Osun suit against CBN. Two killed in fresh Lagos court clashes. World Cup qualifier, can Eagles fly high in Blue Fame 10? That is a story for the girls. You have to find out in page 3. World Cup qualifier. Can Eagles fly high in Bloemfontein, that is in South Africa, for the match with Bafana Bafana? We move back to leadership, where we'll take our stand. Today's stand is on military rule and terror in the Sahel. Military rule and terror in the Sahel. On the cover of leadership, 149.39 trillion naira debt Akpabio Abbas won against unchecked borrowing. The business story on the business boss of leadership cover. 149.39 trillion naira debt Akpabio Abbas won against unchecked borrowing. Panel covers fraud in 2025 unified tertiary examination. Police probe decomposing body at National Assembly complex. Demolition protesters block Lagos third mainland bridge. Abuja resident doctors commence 7-day warning strike. El-Rufai reports Kaduna command to police commission. Nigeria face South Africa in Crunch World Cup qualifying match today. We move to the back page of today's Tuesday column with Abdurrauf Aliyu on leadership. Southwest, a legacy at the crossroads. The Southwest Sea States stand as a paradox of promise and complacency, admired for history, yet struggling to convert legacy into present-day progress. Quote from today's column with Abdurrauf Aliyu. Before we leave the back page, let's visit Ghana Must Go. Governor Basani says, Tinubu, farewell me, my leaders. Of course, we read that yesterday on the cover of leadership. Tinubu, farewell me, and my leaders. And Ghana Must Go says, for today. Well, with that, we conclude review of some select national newspapers this Tuesday. For more, log into the website of leadership, www.leadership.ng. But don't go away, we have the second half coming with our guest in the studio. Stay tuned.
Discover Turkey through education. The culture-rich country of Turkey, which has hosted a myriad of civilization throughout the centuries, is a global pioneer in education. Turkey offers various lucrative opportunities for students. Despite its quality living standards, the cost of living in Turkey is affordable compared to other European countries. A diploma from globally recognized and renowned universities in Turkey will open every door for you. For more information, visit leadership.ng/study in Turkey.
Good morning once again on the set of Inside Nigerian Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ugwebo once again, because my Tuesday guest is in the studio sitting right beside me. He's a public affairs analyst, Mr. Benedict Agunloye. Good morning once again. It's been a long while. I trust you are doing good. We are going to start off our discussion today from the cover of the Punch newspaper. 2027 North rallies voters as SATOP's pre-registration list. And the writers say Osun, Lagos, Ogun lead as online pre-registration hits 3.5 million, 288,614 complete physical exercises. Northern governors parties groups unveil campaigns to close widening regional voters gap. Why we are taking that conversation from that leading story on today's Punch newspaper is that that issue has been generating quite a controversy in the country, with opposition claiming that the high number of registration in the Southwest is a cause for concern, while calling for INEC's list to be subjected to forensic examination. What is your take on that?
Well, it shouldn't be because you think the figures in one place is high or the other. The list is subject to forensic examination.
Yes.
Now, you look at the trend. In 2011, PDP had 7 million votes in the Southeast.
Okay.
The candidate was Goodluck Jonathan. In 2023, with all the campaign and all the movement, Peter Obi had 1.8 million votes in the Southeast. What does that tell you? It's either we are saying that the people of the Southeast developed apathy in 2023 and did not vote, or that the figures in 2011 was cooled off. If that being the case, therefore, there is the need for a forensic check on the entire voting database, not just the new people that are coming in, but everything that we have gathered in that database should be subjected to forensic audit, whether in Kano or in Lagos or in Jigawa or in Osun or wherever. It must be subjected to forensic audit. Now you also have the issues that over time, the dependence or the reliance on actual voting seems to be increasing. Number of voters may be dropping, but the impact of the actual voting seems to be increasing. Now, states like Osun, Ogun, Lagos are experiencing more divide, unlike some other states in the nation. In Osun, the PDP is in power, the APC is closing in, the ADC is trying to also establish a base, which means that at all instances, each of these people will push or their noise will encourage those who are not on the voters register to go and register. And then the truth also is, even if you call it vote buying, in 2011, nobody cares about buying votes. In 2003, I'm sure nobody bought vote for PDP to get 1 million votes in 1 hour in Nassau. Because the figures could be written.
Yes.
Because you could use anything to punch and stuff the ballot box. But today, it's becoming increasingly difficult to stuff the ballot box, which means that you need more genuine people on the voters register. And in the past, you've talked about apathy in the South. When you look at registration to PVC collection rate, the North was always higher than the South in percentage.
Yes.
And some people have said it's because people in the South do not care about voting. Or some even register and they don't bother to pick their voters card.
Or
I know people who even registered in 2007, in 2011, even in 2015, who did not remember where they registered. One of them just to me, he said he was passing and he saw that the queue was less.
Why
so he joined the queue.
They couldn't get
he
their
registered. Now, if you cannot remember where you register, how do you get the card? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So it is that the South possibly is beginning to take election registration more serious. the North has always taken it serious.
It's serious, yes.
So the gap in the North should not be as wide as the gap in the South. And if the South begin to close the gap between the registered and the unregistered voters, then you expect that the turnout should be better. And there is improved political education. And like we said, votes are beginning to count. That's why vote buying is becoming an issue. Otherwise, in the past, politicians can ignore all of you,
However,
write the result.
Then if I may intervene, but we also discovered that even though there's high turnout of registration, but however, it still falls way short below, that is the voters, those who vote at the end of the day, than those who registered.
Yeah, you see, it's
Why
a system,
is that? Why
it's a system
is
improvement. Like we said, if you look at the voters register building up, number of people who have voted increasingly from 2007 in our elections have continued to be on the decline.
Yes.
Why is it on the decline?
That is what I'm asking.
Because in 2007, it only tells you that in 2007 there were not actual voting. In 2007, build up, there were places in Anambra State, in Imo State, where they were forest. Nobody lived there, but they were pulling booths allocated there for politicians to use in doing whatever they had to do. And in some of the electoral matters that came up, those issues were there. We know in 2007 election, ballot papers marked for Cross River were used in Ondo South for governorship election. Not even presidential. So how would such a mistake happen if it was not a deliberate mischief? So today, I think that what is happening over time, now you look at the 2023 election in Abuja, people voted deep into the night, but the total number of votes still seems less than what happened in 2011 and 2015. It tells you that in 2011, there were actually not real voting, because the chances were that those results were written, and that's why it looks so bogus. So when you say forensic audit, I agree with that totally. And it should not be just for the new voters. It should be for everybody on the voters list. The entire voters list should be subjected to forensic audit, and it should be cleaned up. People are already dead. Their names are still there. Some have japa. Their names are still in the polling unit. You need to determine the number of things. People who are going to vote and who will be available to vote. Some multiple registration we cannot prove are still not surviving there. But when you do a proper audit, you match the fingerprints, then you clean up the register, then you give us a new register. And so there should be monthly, something like a verification exercise. Even now, the election is not under pressure, we should do some form of mid-term verification exercise. Put the voters list out. Let people go there and check their name. Let people contest names that they possibly think should no longer be there. And then you can have a document to work with going to 2027. Not assume we have 100 million voters when there are actually 50 or 60 million.
Yes, just before we leave this controversial topic, lastly, opposition claimed that the ruling party was already using that inflated figure in the Southwest to reach 2027 elections ahead. Now, do you share in that thought?
Like we said, when you say registration in the Southwest, Osun is a PDP-run state. And many of their federal legislators are PDP. Oyo is PDP run. Some of their federal legislators are PDP. Ogun has APC in charge, but there are other factions on ground.
So that view doesn't hold.
That view is, in my opinion, that view is a silly view. Silly in the fact that it is not APC who had moved the people there to go and register. Some of the people who are registering are from the governor's constituency, are from some senators who are PDP senators' constituency. And he is involved in how they got registered. So it is a function of everybody trying to be more competitive. And the truth is there is a difference between the voters register, party membership, and party manifestos. So opposition should stop being silly They should go to the grassroots, engage with the people, and begin to sell your program to them. But when you cannot give them an alternative, all you are doing is talk, then you won't get any result, because they have heard better talks. Or some of those in power even have the oratory prowess to come back and untalk whatever talk you have done. But if you can show them practical things, you can show them ideas, you can show them principles, not that they are all, I think, how did that guy call it in Lagos in 2007? He said the same of the same and more of the same. Yeah, that was Jimmy Agbaji. When he was trying to conduct, he said, look, every other person in the race apart from him is either same of the same or more of the same. So, and the opposition today is actually showing themselves as more of the same, not even same of the same. So more of the same can be worse. Too much salt will eventually spoil the soup. So we possibly need some new set of spices, and they need to show that they have that spices, not that they are same of the same or they are more of the same.
All right. Thank you so much for moving away from the issue of registration, voters registration from INEC. We have still discussed allocations, and it's still on Osun State. Osun State, as we know, has gone to Supreme Court to challenge federal governments on its withheld local government funds. So what's your view? And shortly, just before I allow you to air your view, we also saw superstar Davido leading his uncle, the governor of Osun State, and his father, Adeleke, to see President Tinubu recently. And of course, the situation has not changed. The funds are still withheld.
Well, I think Osun issue is what the judiciary should take speedy action and resolve. The truth is this: if somebody say he has a mandate, and then his mandate has not run out, you run a new election, there cannot be two kings in the same kingdom. In an attempt for the new people to take over between the old and the new, there were loss of lives. That was not called for. Now, if you release the money, who do you release the money to? Is it the old chairman whose tenure has not expired, who are claiming they have a mandate, or the new people elected whose election has possibly is being challenged one way or the other? To a large extent, I think that here it is politicians trying to make the people of the local government suffer. It's the politicians trying to make the people of the local government suffer. So basically, if the case, at least when Supreme Court takes a decision, it becomes final. So I think that all hands should be on deck to help to insist on Supreme Court deciding the matter. Since it's a matter that has run through different courts, I think that at this point, the individual opinion of anybody will really not count. But the Supreme Court should be able to determine, as a matter of law, this is what should be done. And whatever decision that comes from there, no, I'm sure nobody will bend over backward.
And again, Benedict, Supreme Court, while it's ruling, should also make a general pronouncement, because we are hearing, or we read reports from that same Ondo State in Southwest that the governor actually gave local government council funds chairman, local chairman, about 40 million naira from their allocations. We don't know how true it is, because efforts to get the governor's response was rebuffed. However, a government official, close aide, top government aide, who spoke on condition of anonymity, lambasted the local government council chair, calling them ungrateful, and that they were already aware that the governor was going to return 40 million naira to each of them, and that the government was actually paying most of their bills. How true is this?
Well, I'm from Ondo State.
Okay, your home state.
So, if the local government is properly run, I am sure the people will benefit from primary health care to whatever other things that is there. But what we need to look at in the local government system is very simple. The Supreme Court has said local government autonomy.
Yes.
on paper there is autonomy, in practice and reality there has
There's
been
no
no autonomy.
autonomy.
So it's not even an issue of what one governor or the other has done.
It's why I said Supreme Court has to make pronouncement,
So
not just in
it is
Osun
that
alone.
having
It's just
stated
pronouncement.
what should be done, I think that there also has to be a timeline for implementation. Of course, if local government money goes to local government, we still know that some of the governors will have their way of whether through consultancy or whatever crooked means,
We get the
still
money
get
back.
this money. But first, even give it to them.
First.
Well, as to the issue of how many of the chairmen in Ondo State emerged out of their own popularity without the support of the governor. For me, sometimes a lot of local government chairmen in Nigeria, irrespective of who they are, were more like prefects in the secondary school. A prefect appointed by the principal has little or no control over a lot of things. And that's the practical reality. So until we enforce and ensure local government autonomy, I am not sure that this kind of story will not continue. So either you give them their money, or you spend, you take back part of it, or you spend it on their behalf. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it is wrong. But there is that need to ensure that the autonomy of the local government is granted and enforced. The court has given it.
Yes.
Then we should work out the details. And whatever it will take, we need to have it take effect. Let them have their money. The state should, let's now define what is it that the state does on their behalf. What is it that they are doing? If it is my money, and I cannot afford to pay more than 100,000, you are likely not going to force a staff on me that will collect 250,000. What I will do is to pay the 100 that I can afford. If you cannot take that, then you deploy him elsewhere. So saying you are spending so much on behalf of the local government, I think it's also not fair. But every government and every governor here and there has those issues. So you need to really free up the local government from the control of the government.
And make them
and those who have said perhaps INEC should run their election and take it away from the state and independent, take it away from the different SIEC, which are in the apron of the governor, may also be a step in the right direction.
All right, thank you so much. There is no time anymore to exhaust the whole issue on this local government financial autonomy. It's on these grounds we come to the end of today's show. And of course, I've had the pleasure of having in company today my Tuesday guest, public affairs analyst Benedict Agunloye. Thank you so much, viewers. And in the first half of that program, we also have leadership analyst, group business editor of leadership, Inse Anthony Oko. And my name is Winifred Ogbebo. I look forward to having you same time, same station on the same program. Thanks for joining us.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.